Durag Diaries, yo, what's good, people? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see in the thumbnail, Simone Inzaghi to Spurs. Tottenham's number one target for their new manager has been revealed. Fabrizio Romano has touched on the fact that Spurs have become huge admirers of the Inter Milan manager. Now, I just have to say, this wouldn't be the first time we've snatched someone from Inter Milan. Chain snatched, VVS settings, you're walking around London, you can't trust it. I mean, watch gets taken, we're gonna snatch Inter Milan's chain, them way there. I'm just putting it out there. With Antonio Conte, we know they couldn't provide the financials, didn't have the facilities for that, and so he left. With Simone Inzaghi, it's looking like it could potentially be another similar situation. We all know that Inter Milan, or for those that don't know, Inter Milan have had huge financial struggles over the last couple of years, just off the back of bad financial decisions, but also I think they were hard done by their last board and put them in a really bad place. They're still working on recovering that money back. And, it's not been a good time for them. So with regards to Simone Inzaghi, they are struggling to match his ambition. He wants to get better players. He wants to make the team better and sign some more proven quantities. But they have been unable to do that within some transfer windows. So there has been questions over his long-term future and whether he will look to stay at Inter Milan beyond this season. At this moment in time, there will be no movement on this. I just need to make it very clear. He is in a title race currently, working on trying to get Inter Milan over the line in the Serie A, where, to be fair to them, they're top of the league. They're 3 points clear of Napoli, so they've got themselves in a very good position to potentially get the job done, because Conte has dropped points in his last couple of games, but it will go right down to the wire because it's only 3 points at the moment. One thing to highlight and why I think Spurs should potentially get this deal done is Inzaghi is a coach's coach. He's a proper coach. He's a guy that makes players that aren't good better. He can make them perform from this level to this level, very similar to Conte. And, with a lot of Italian managers, they take on this tactician approach. So a lot of their game is focused and their build-up into games is focused on how they can oppose the opposition team. And in that, how they set up, they're always going to play a similar formation. So it's always, he tends to set his team up in a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2, depending on whether they're off the ball or in possession, because off the ball, naturally, they play in a mid to low block. For some people, isn't entertaining football, and it's understandable. If you want to watch football for entertainment, then let's stick with Ange Postecoglou, because it's entertainment. It's just who we are, mate. It's just who we are. But when it comes down to winning, getting things done, that is just what Simone Inzaghi does. He gets the job done. His teams don't concede a lot of goals. They've only lost 3 games this season, conceding 28. And that just goes to show you the quality of his teams. If you actually look and broke down the team individually, yes, they have some amazing players. Lautaro Martinez, Nico Barella. Had to say it in the accent so people know. Cultured, you know what I mean? But they got DeMarco, who's a problem. They also got Hakan Çalhanoğlu, very good player. So they've got a few good players in that team. But they do have some old players. They do have players that you would expect, or you'd say players that you wouldn't expect, to be in that team competing for first in the league. And do you know what? They're flying. They are flying. And I think it's all down to their management. When I look at his team and the way that he plays, I just think that the Tottenham team is all set up and suited for it. You've got Udogie, Pedro Porro, Jed Spence, all of which are natural wingbacks. Players that play higher up in their systems usually have less defensive responsibility, but also with regards to the defensively, they've got that coverage. They got the extra man covering their side, so there's less space to work with. They don't have to cover as much ground as you do in the Postecoglou system, where it exposes our backline. On top of that, he tends to set up with the midfielders being very tight in like a pivot, with one of them pushing up forward and creating a free up top at times. But in that pivot, it would help for a player like Bentancur to have someone who's always close to him, but also, again, I think he works under a manager like this, someone who gets a bit more into the tactics, because the biggest issue with our midfield is, I think, the discipline of their positional play. They're not positionally disciplined enough, but also it's just their communication. They always, one's all the way up there, one's down here alone. They're just all over the place. If you have a manager that works on that consistently and tells them, like, if you listen to Jed Spence's interview, he said Antonio Conte's sessions were the exact same thing week in, week out. Simone Inzaghi will be very similar to that. I want people to know it will be very similar to that. But that's what I like. Forget becoming a jack of all trades, become a master of one. And that's what we need to do. Master the system to then get the best out of it. On Antonio Conte, we played some great transitional football, some great attacking play. We just didn't have the quality to back him up in that second season in defense. He wanted another centre-back. He wanted Bastoni, but the club didn't match his ambition. Now, there will be questions whether Tottenham can match Simone Inzaghi's ambition and want to compete in the league. Now, he's obviously had time over at Lazio where he's done 5 years. He's done 4 years now at Inter Milan. I think he may just be looking for that next step in his career. Maybe the trip over to England to, get paid that guala. Because let's have it right. Anyone's decision for their next job is influenced by the amount of money that's being offered and put on the table. Now, Inzaghi could be poached by other clubs. There's no doubt about that. There's other jobs that could be more attractive and more appealing for him. But why would he come to Spurs, you ask? I think when you look at it, Spurs are one of the most attractive or open teams with regards to managers and, shaky situations. Because I'm not looking at a lot of top clubs and seeing they're going to sack their manager. So away from the biggest clubs, because I don't think Barca's doing anything with Flick. Don't think Ancelotti's going anywhere. I don't think Kompany's going anywhere. I don't think Luis Enrique's going anywhere. Juventus, Thiago Motta, that could be a potential option for him. But to go Lazio, Inter, Juventus, it's a bit mad. It's a bit, I'm sorry, yeah, Lazio, yeah, Inter, Juventus. That's like all of the biggest cities that he's just touching the 3 biggest clubs in Italy. Obviously, Lazio's within Rome, so they're one of the big clubs. But still, I don't know about you, man. That's like doing Chelsea, Liverpool, and Tottenham or something like that. What? Do you know what? Jose done it. So it could happen. It definitely could happen. Juventus could be a much better, much more attractive opposition to him because they're already in Italy. He only has to move cities. But if he wants to go abroad, if he wants to get that money, if he wants to take an opportunity to bring a club from one that's in the gutter right now, implement his style, implement his play, and coach some great young talents into something they've never become or they never thought they would become, it's a great opportunity over at Spurs. So Spurs, go and get it done. Go and try bringing a big manager. If it's not Inzaghi, it needs to be Xavi, who we're gonna make a video about. So keep an eye out for that one. If you haven't already, make sure you smash the like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the post notification bell to stay up to date with all the new content coming out with me. And if you want to follow me, as you can see above, Roads 2K, show some love, share this with your people. Then let's get there real quick and follow me on the other socials. Big up to the people. Peace out. Inzaghi Spurs. We will be.